Hey, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. Today we have an interesting rule set here. It's my understanding that this is a new rule set that hasn't necessarily been used before, or at least to the setter's knowledge and to my knowledge. It's called Up to N by Sujoyku. And let's take a look at these things and see what it actually is. So it's normal Sudoku. So every row, column, and 3x3 region will contain the digits 1 through 9 once each. Then we have up to n sums. So a clue outside the row or column, n, indicates the sum of all digits up to that cell that contains the digit n. The digit n itself is not included in the sum. Let's go through the example on this one because I'm not fully following this just yet, but we should be with this example. So, for example, if row 1 were to read 2, 3, 4, 1, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, it would have an up to n sum clue of 2 plus 3 plus 4, because 2, 3, and 4 are the digits appearing before the row number n, which equals 1. Okay. I think I get that. So we'll write this out here so we can put it in. So 2, 3, 4, 1. That's as far as we really have to go, but I'll do 5 and 6 here. So what it's saying is that up to the digit, which is telling you which row or column it's in, you're going to use those digits to that will create this value. So in the example, this would actually be a 9 if this was correct. But since this is row 1, once we get to the digit 1 in the row from this side, we stop and we use those digits to create our value. So this would be 2, 3, 4, which would equal 9. Okay, that is interesting and something that might have to kind of wrap the brain around a little bit here to try to figure out how to do these, because it's not going to be, normally these would be like sandwich clues, something like that, but this is a different variant there that we're going to have to think of ways to make it, or think of ways that portions of the rule might cause issues. Therefore, we can start to determine what some of these things are. Anyway, that's the concept. So these are up to n sums, and let's just get on this thing. Link is going to be in the description below. Let's see if we can figure this thing out. See if we can understand exactly what we are doing. So I think the 6s are going to be a good place to start because of the fact that there's only going to be so many places that we could put a 1, particularly for this, because this is row 1. We're going to read the digits until we get to the 1 that are going to tell us those add up to 6. Well, normally, if we kind of thinking out of context, you could make 6 in 3 cells, 1, 2, and 3, but that won't work because we're not using the 1 because we're in row 1. So this is either going to be a singular 6 here with a 1, or it's going to be 2 digits that add to 6 and then a 1. Is that useful? Let's think about those, because again, the option is this could be a 6 and a 1. So we're in row 1, so we would have seen the 6, so we've made our value. Now we see the 1, so we stop. We've gotten up to that n sum. Now, if the 1 is not here and it's here instead, that means these 2 digits will add up to 6. Now, obviously, we wouldn't be able to use the 1, so it would be a 2-4 pair and not the 1-5 pair. Okay, so I think we can say one of these is a 1. Now, that's not incredibly helpful at just the first blush, because if we had said maybe this could be a 1, then we could rule it out because we would know that because this is column 1, we can never have a 10 clue where it just stops before we can get to a value. These, though, are columns 2 and 3, so either way, the 1 can work because we don't stop until we get to the 2, and we don't stop until we get to the 3 in these guys. So What more can we get out of that? Maybe we're starting on the wrong side. And thinking about, maybe we should be thinking about high digits, like the 9s, like these guys. The 12, or maybe we need to think about them in conjunction, sort of thing. This 12 clue, we are going to be reading digits until we get to the 9, because this is the 9th column. So we're going to have a 9. The problem is we could go up to 4 digits worth of digits before we get to a 9. Same would be true over here. Trying to think of how to start organizing ourselves. Because if we think about how would we do a sandwich type of clue, we would start thinking about where can the 1 and the 9 go? Because in the sandwich clue, we're thinking the value would be what is between 1 and 9. So we can start to rule in or rule out certain things that could be those values. But this is not that, obviously. So we have to maybe devise a way of thinking about this rule set and how we could start to rule in or out certain digits. Now, I don't quite know how to do that. We're going to have to figure it out. Is it the clue we need to focus on? Is it the row or the column we need to focus on? Because we think about this, like this 34 clue. We have to have a bunch of digits before we ever get to the 2. But I can't, I'm trying to rationalize this. So what's the minimum or maximum maybe on some of these columns? And we might have to start coloring in some way. But because we're not necessarily focused on just the 1s and the 9s like we would on a sandwich, it might be a little bit more difficult to color this in such a way where we're actually getting ourselves locations for certain digits, because every row and every column is going to have a different digit that we're starting to try to pin down, per se. So what's the bare minimum 30 that we can use to get up to 34? 9, 8, 7, 6, 4 would get us there. So 5 digits. We need at least 5 digits before we ever see the 2. How does that help us? I don't know that it does it? Because if we were to think about, what if these were the maxed out versions? We'd have 9, 8, 7, 6, 4. We're at 34. Now we place a 2. Well, there's obviously going to be some digits that will not work here. Now, of course, there's no guarantee that this is what this is. This could be, the 2 could be here. Well, I guess it couldn't be at the very end, because then you wouldn't have enough space to get up. Well, you'd have too much space. If you put a 2 here, these digits would add to 43, not 34. Maybe that's a better way of thinking about it. So we know we have to at least get to here, but we can't go all the way to here. Problem is, we can do any of these 3 is where a 2 could go. So we could put a 2 here, and then we would know that these 2 digits would add to 11. So it would be a 2 and a 9. and the rest of the digits will add to 34. Or we could have a 2 here, and these 3 digits add up to 11. Or this is a 2, and these 4 digits add up to 11. So there's certainly options there. Now, is it really possible that this could be a 2 and this could be a 9? Why not, right? No, that won't ever work. Okay, so that won't work because of the 12 clue. Because if we were to put a 9 here, this is row 9. So this would have to be a 12. So this is not green. So the 2 is in one of these 2. Can we further reduce that in some way? Because if, let's say this was a 2, these 2 digits have to add up to 9. There's multiple ways that could work. And if this was a 2, these would add up to 9. And again, there's multiple ways that could work. We would know that there had to be a 1 on it, though, if this was the 2. And that would at least get us a 1 here, which might get us moving. But I don't know that we can rule this out as being a 2, can we? Because if it's a 2, again, these 2 will have to add to 9, but there's so many ways that could possibly work. And there won't be too much strain on these other clues. This is the calamity we have here about, because it's a new rule set, we don't have any given knowledge, I guess is the best way to put it, where we can start to say definitive things about what some of these things could and couldn't be. So we got to start formulating those concepts. Again, if this is a 2, this could be so many things. And if this is a 2, we're just knowing that the 9, which is left over, must have a 1 in it. So it would be 1, 2, 6, or sorry, it couldn't be 1, 2, 6. It would be 1, 3, 5. Is that something of any value? Not necessarily. Except for the fact that, again, we'd be looking up here and we could say something about the 1. But these being possible 1s, 3s, or 5s doesn't really pull any weight across these rule sets. Because this guy here just needs to have certain values until it sees a 7. He has certain values till he sees an 8. He has certain value till he sees a 9. Again, if this was a 2, yeah, there's just too many options here. Okay, maybe I'm just barking up the wrong tree at the moment. Let's go back to thinking about where can 9s go. At most, this is the furthest down the line that the 9 can go from the 12 perspective. I'll use differing colors to think about rows and columns, I guess, or the value that we're looking for. Because this could be a 9, which would allow these to be digits that would add up to 12 before we got to our 9. But this could be a 9 as well, and these could be 2 digits that add to 12. Similarly, going this way, we would have the 9s being in one of these locations. Again, we either have 2 digits that add to 12, 3 digits, or 4 digits that do so. But I don't see how that's really giving us much information. Now, we know that if these are 9s, none of these will be. But the 9 doesn't come into effect in either of these guys, because we're not focusing on the 9, because we're on the 8 or the 7 to get to these spaces. So we've got to figure out how to make sense of this thing. Because we can look at the 30, and again, we know we have to have a certain number of digits before we ever see the 2, because this is row 2. But it could just be 9, 8, 7, 6. So the 2 could be here, or it could be pushed out to here. So any of these could be 2s. Because this could be a 2, and then these could add to 13. Or this would be the 2, and these would be the 9, 8, 7, 6 to get us to 30. And then we could go in between and adjust from there. This is a little bit of a head scratcher. What about, okay, let's think about the 10 then. I didn't think about this correlation here. Because we know this 10 is going to have to be a certain number of digits before it sees the 1, because the 10 is in the first column. Well, we can only go 4. No, we can't go 4 digits. Okay, there we go. We're finally starting to think of something here. We can never have 4 digits here that add to 10, because they would have to be 1, 2, 3, 4. But the 1 can't be included because it's column 1. So it has to only be 3 or less, which means this has to be the 1 to stop this 10 clue. Now, we know that these 3 digits have to add to 10. They cannot use a 1. Well, the only way that's ever going to work is 2, 3, 5. This guy, well, this can't be a 2. This can't be a 3, because the rows are removing those options, because if this was a 3, this is a 0, this is a 2, this is a 0. This can't be a 5. That is accurate, because if this is a 5, we would have to have a 1 to add to the 5, but the 1 is what's stopping this from seeing anything, so this is not 5. Okay. That's a little bit. So now we know that this is not the 1, because if it was, this would have to be a 6. This is 1. Okay, we're making a little bit of headway here. Now, what else do we know? Well, we know there's going to be a location of the 3 at some point, because the bare minimum, well, it's actually not. I was going to say the bare minimum to get to 15 would be 5 cells, but it isn't 5 cells, but it can't use the 3 in the equation for 15. So it's actually only going to be 4. That's the most we could ever do. And it can't obviously be 2, so it has to at least be 3. And if it has to at least be 3, no, it just means that one of these 2 is the 3. Right, because this one could be the 3 and these could be the 4 digits that add to 15, or this could be the 3 and these could be 3 digits that add to 15. Okay. Okay, what else we got going on here? That's like we're barely getting into it. So, okay, this actually is useful now because it says that there is a 1 in here. Well, I guess it isn't super useful, is it? I was thinking about what we were thinking about the 9 clue, or the 34 coming down this way, and whatever the 2 is, we know also, whatever's left over must add to 9. But we're still not telling ourselves which one is which necessarily, right? Because this could be the 2, and then we already knew then the 1 would be down here, and we said it would be a 1, 3, 5. Well, maybe the 3 is actually helping us, though, because we also know there's a 3 in here. So we know this can't be the 2 anymore. Okay, there we go. This cannot be the 2 because it would force this to be a 1, 3 pair. Well, 2, 1, and 3 are 6. All of these digits would then add to 39, but they can't. They have to add to 34. So this is 2. I guess we can get rid of the coloring here. And now that we know this is the 2 and these have to add to 9, this must be the 1, 3, 5 grouping. Now, what does that tell us? These are the questions we ask ourselves. One of these is a 2. 9, 10, 11. Yes, these will add to 34. We know what they are. Let's put them in, and then maybe there'll be some interactions up here. So, the other way to think about it is if this is... Yeah, this can't be a 3, duh. This is a 2, so 5 and 3. Because if this was a 3, it would have to be 3 plus 3. So this is not. So this is 4. Okay. So we've got some work going on here now. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 does work. Let's put this in. Well, we'll use the blue because we're looking at a column. Well, I was using that for 9s, wasn't I? So it doesn't really matter what color. I'll make it yellow. But this is the hold point for this 10. This 2 is the hold point for the 34. So let's look at what these actually are. We know one of these is... No, we don't know that. Sorry. Let's just put them in. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 already taken. So 6, 7, 8, 9. This can never be a 9. Yeah, that's true, because if it is, we're going to have 9. We can't ever put a 1 here, so that won't work. This can't be a 8, because we can't put a 2 here. We're going to have to get the 5 is what's going to stop our 10 at some point, but it obviously can't go here or here, so it has to at least go here, which means we need 2 digits that can add to 10 at minimum. And I guess it just has to be 2 digits, doesn't it? Because if this was could we ever do 3 digits to add to 10? Because the 1 and the 2 are already taken, the answer there is no, because it's a minimum 3, 4, 5, which is 12. So this can only be 2 digits, which means this is the 5, because we have to stop the 10. I'll just pick colors, because I don't know if they're necessarily working for us. And that forces this to be the 3, which is telling us where the 15 is going to be cut off now. But because of that 5, we know this has to add to 10, so it can't be 7, 3. It must be 6, 4. We can get rid of the 6's here. We know one of these is going to be a 6, and we know that it's going to be 6 plus 1 plus some other digit. So these have to add up to whatever one isn't what goes with the 6 has to be adding up to 14. So it must be an 8, 6, which means this is a 7, 9, which means this is 8, which means these two guys are what, 7 and 9? Okay. So we are getting somewhere now, finally. It's taken us quite a while to get moving here. So what else can we now say? This 15 clue is pretty much done. 34 clue is done. 10 is done. The 6 is done. I'll color U. What more? We know the 10 clue is done. Do we want to go into the 30 and the 20 here? Or are we looking elsewhere at the moment? What is the bare minimum these guys can be? So 7 and 6 would get us to 13, plus the 5 is 18. So at the furthest point, we can never add more than one more digit, right? So it means that the 3, which is what's going to stop this 20, must be in one of these two, I think. Because like I said, we could have 6, 7, and 5, which gets us to 18, and we could put a 2 here before we get to the 3. Now, the 7, 8 won't work. 9, 6 won't work. This has to be that. Okay, because if we put a 9 here, we're at 14 right there. No, wait, that would work. Sorry, I'm being slow. The 7 and the 8 and the 9 and the 6 would work because they would get us to 15, which would then add to the 5 to get us to 20, and then the 3 would cap it off. Okay. Okay. What else we got? I don't quite know. Again, we know the 3 stops this. The 2 has to stop this. We said it was in one of these guys. Can we make any reduction now to that 2 because of what we put in here? I don't know that we can. Well, maybe this can't be a 2 anymore. 17. Yeah, because this can only get up to 20. So there's no way this could be a 10. So this can't be a 2 anymore. So we've pushed this at least a little bit back. So one of these 2 is the 2. Which one it is, I don't know that we can again make another reduction there unless there's something on the back side. Because if we were to put a 2 here to end this off, we would have 30 here. These would have to add to 15 with already using a 2, so these 2 would be 13. I don't see any massive issue there. Unless I have to go into the maths to determine if that would work or not. That is possible. What else? Do any of these other clues seem like they're going to help us out? Or is there Sudoku we could start thinking about? Maybe we do that. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9s. This obviously can't be 7. And it can't be 9. It can't be 7 because this is row 7, so this would have a value of 0. Can't be 9, obviously, because if it was, we'd have to be able to put a 7 here to stop the 9. That won't work. This can't be 8, because again, this is the 8th row. This can't be 9. Can we determine any of these other guys, though? Because this guy needs to have a 7 to block it. It could be 8, 1 with a 7. It could be 6, 1, 2, and then we block it. So we can't necessarily say which one of these exactly is the right way to go. Unless we just start plopping these guys in and see what the options are here. 2, 4, 7, and 9. This can't be a 9 either, can it? This one definitely can't. because we'd only have 2. No, actually, that might be. Yeah, because we could do a 7, 5 to get to 12. Okay, glad I didn't proceed with that. If this was a 9, we're broken because we haven't gotten to a 7 yet, and we already have a 9 plus 2 other digits. This is not 9. Again, we said this could very well be the 7 because that would stop this thing. And this could either be a 6, 3 or an 8, 1. Maybe there are some reductions in what these values could be by what the options of this 9 can be. Because we know the 7 has to go in one of these 2. We're going to make this, I guess, red. So one of these 2 is 7. If this is the 7, this has to be 6, 1, 2. If this is the 7, we said this is... I feel like I just ruled something in or out here, but now my brain just stopped working for a second. If this is a 7, this has to be 6, 1, 2. If this is 7, this could either be 6, 3 or 8, 1. I guess this can never be a 5, right? Because then how do we ever get to 9 if it was? That's something, I guess. It seems like it's picking and prodding here. We don't care about the 2 necessarily. We just know one is here, but it's not stopping anything. This could very well be the 9, right? If this was a 9, what does that tell us? Or is it... No, it's. I was going to say there's not as much a reduction there, because this doesn't have to be 9. This could still be a 6 with a 1, 2, 3. And that would work. Or it could be 3, 2, 1 or something like that. Can this ever be an 8? Let's think about it that way. I guess the answer is yes, it could be. No, it can't be, can it, mathematically? Because if this was an 8, these 2 digits, because we don't have an 8 with a 4 right next to it, these 2 digits would have to add to 4, but there's no way to make that work by what the options are that we have in front of us. So this can't be 8. If that can't be 8, this is 8, which forces this to be a 1, which now we are done, so this has to be the 7. Now this is stopped. This forces 9, 7. That then comes back and gives us 6, 9. These are not 9s or 7s, so they are a 2, 4 pair. Therefore, this is a 6, and the case that we've determined was if the 9 cannot block this and this is a 6, these have to be a 1, 2, 3. Is that accurate? No, it probably isn't, right? We can remove this as an option, though, because one of these is going to be the 9. No, it's not. Yeah, okay. Let me finish my Sudoku. Maybe it'll help us out a little bit. It is true, because these guys can never add to 6 together. So, 3, 5, and 2, 4 just don't ever get us there. So this has to be 3 digits, or 4 total digits, I should say. The 6 being one of those digits, and the other 3 digits being 1, 2, and 3 before we get to our 9. Now, if these... No, not you. These have to be a 1, 2, 3 grouping. This is 3, 2, 1. Therefore, this is 4 and 5. Okay. Now, we're starting to make a little bit of headway here again, and good God, it's 35 minutes in already. Okay, let's see if we can get going on this thing. I really do enjoy this puzzle. It's just really taking some time to kind of to work through what is actually going on and how we can make determinations as to what can and can't happen. So let's continue. What about this 26 clue? We know it has to be stopped by an 8 because this is row 8. Currently, we have 18. So, well, that means we have to at least add 2 digits because we can't use the 8 in the addition here because the 8 is what stops things. So if we have 18, we can't put the 8 here to make 26. So we have to at least have 2 more digits before we get to an 8. Do I like any of that? Can we figure out which one is which? We might be able to because of this 1. So again, we have 954. We are at 18. We can't make it 3 because we would then have to have a 1 to be able to make 8 because we have 8 left over in 3 digits. So this is the 8. And that we'll put a color on him just because we're doing it. We might as well keep at it. Now we know that these 2 digits must add up to 8. So how do we do that? We can't do 7-1. We could do 6-2. We can't do 5-3. So this is 2-6. Okay. Now, is there any Sudoku in this that we can do? This is a 7. Yes, we can. These are what? 3, 4, and 5? Okay. Now, we're going to know this one here can't be the 5 because the 6 has to be stopped by the 5. That's not going to help us. The 15 says this can't. Oh, no, this is a 6, sorry. I was thinking about the 4, but there's no clue on the 4 column for us to work with. But we can go into what these guys are, and maybe we can make some deductions about the 9s and the 12s here. We've got 4, 5, and 8. We've got 1, 3, and 7. And we have 2, 6, and 9. Now we know this can't be the 9 because one of these has to be our 9. This is row 7, so this can't, or column 7, so this can't be a 7 because we can't wait that long till we finalize. Yeah, I guess that didn't do as much as I hoped it would. We do know there has to be a 6 in one of these. There has to be a 5 in one of these. The most we can obviously ever make for a 6 is 3 cells. But we could very well have a singular 6. So I was thinking about where does the 5 go? We know it can't go here. So it's either going to be here or here. And it could be in either place. Because this could be a 5, this could be a 6. Or this could be a 5, and this could be a 1, 2. Oh no, that actually doesn't work, does it? Because this cannot be 1, 2, 3. Because if it is 1, 2, 3, this has to be the 3, this has to be a 1, 2 pair, but 1 and 2 don't see it. So this is 5, which means this is 6. This is the end point of the 6. I don't know if I want to put that as a color, just because of the fact that then it feels like it might be fooling me into thinking of it as the 30 clue one, but okay. So the 5 and the 6 do help us because this is, well, the 6 does. This is 2 and 6. All right, what else then can we do? What about looking back at this 30 clue? We know one of these is going to be the 2. That still is the case, and we can't necessarily rule out one or the other, I don't think, unless this 5 somehow put a wrench in this. These are 8. Plus 13 is a bare minimum, so we're at 21. Yeah, this could be a 9, and this could be a 2. Or this could be a 2, and this could be some other grouping of digits. right? Because if we went bare minimum, we're at 13 plus 8, we're at 21. So whatever's filling in the gap has to add up to 9. So it's either this guy is a 9, or these two digits add up to 9. Without using 6-3 or 5-4. Let's think about those. 8-1 would be possible. We said we can't use 6-3 or 5-4, but it could be 7-2. I'm just putting these in as options for the moment, and we'll see if it causes any havoc here. This one wouldn't be 7 or 8. This would not be a 1. Oh no, we can't use the 2, sorry. Because the 2 is the stopper. So this is either a 1-8 pair with this being a 2, or this is a 9 with this being a 2. And if it was a 1-8 pair, it would be 1-8. So I guess what that says is this is either a 9 or an 8. And this is either a 1 or a 2. Because again, if we use both of these, it has to add to 9. Wait. I guess it doesn't have to add to 9. Why am I using that as an option? I guess I was thinking about the bare minimum, and I kind of got lost in it. No, so I guess there's probably more options there. I don't like that. Okay. Sugar. Let's think about this 15 clue. Now we put the 6 in. We know the 6 has to at least go to here. It can't be here. Could it ever be here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If this was the 6, these would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but it would break this, so that's not possible. So this is our 6, which is going to stop our 15 clue. I guess I can put that color in, a color in there, because we've already kind of used this stuff. But so these 3 digits have to add to 15. What are they going to be? Can we even determine that just yet? Don't know, can we? Maybe it's easier to think about what some of, like, this digit could be. Because it can't be 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8. So 3 or 9 seems to be the only possibility there. Now, if it was a 9, these 2 digits would have to add to 6. It could be a 2, 4. That would work. If this was a 3, these 2 would have to add to 12. I think it would just have to be a 9. No, that won't work, will it? Can these ever add to 12? If this is a 3. We wouldn't be able to use 9, 3, or 8, 4, or 7, 5. So the answer is no. This just is 9. Okay. If that is a 9, these 2 digits have to add to 6. They cannot be 5, 1, so they must be 2, 4. Therefore, this is not 4. That 2 here, what did we say? I think we were still looking at it in terms of minimums. We didn't really tell ourselves what this ended up being. So I don't know if we can cross-check back again. But maybe we're going to have to do that. Let's think about a little bit more Sudoku here for a second and come back to that in a second. 1, 3, or 5. This is not 5. I was hoping one of these things would cross over on it, and it doesn't seem to do so. Okay, let's think further then about this guy. Because we know one of these is a 2. Is it possible for this now, or this one to be the 2? Let's think about that. Because we've got 8 right now. We're going to have some grouping of digits, 4 of them, that have to add to 22. These could be as low as 13. These could be as high as 9. If this was a 2, this is a given 4. It seems like this could be a couple of options. Because again, we don't have to have these add up to 13. But it's just telling us that the bare minimum of these can be so if this was a 2, let's say, we now know that we would know that these 3 digits have to add to 22. It wouldn't be 6, 7, obviously, because we can't put a 9 here. But it could be, let's think about those options. If it was a 7, 8, this would have to be a 7. That would never work. Because we said we can't do 6, 7. So let's go through our options. If this was a 6, 7, this would be we're assuming this is a 2 at this juncture. This is a 6, 7, that's 13. Plus the 8 gets us to 21. This would have to be a 9. Can't work. If this was 8, 7, we're at 15, 20, 23. This would have to be a 7. Doesn't work. We've already used it. If that would force this to be a 9, it could be a 9, 6, right? Because we'd be at 15, 20, 23. This could be a 7 because now it's not blocked. And this would be a 2. Or the other option would be the 9, 8, which is 17, 20, 25. That would not work. So there's only one option if this is a 2. This would be a 9, 6. This would be a 7. Do I like going down this road? I don't know. Now, if this was a 2, we're looking at a different beast, because we know this is a 4 then. Again, 9 plus 3, we're at 12. We need 18 more between these guys. The 7, 6 wouldn't work, because again, we'd have to put a 5 here to get to 18. The 7, 8 wouldn't work, because we'd have to put a 4 here to get to 8. And 18, yes, to get to that. This was the 4, so we can't do that. So that rules out the 7. This is a 9. I think what we just determined, this is always a 9, but let's continue the process. If this was a 9, 6, that gets us at the 15. We've got another 9. We're at 24 plus 3. We're at 27. This would have to be another 3. That doesn't work. Then the 9, 8 gets us at 17, 20, 25, 29. This would have to be a 1, and it can't be a 1. Okay, so this has to be the 2 to block this off. Because otherwise, this being a 2, there's no mathematical way of making this work. So I think what I said then was, if this is a 2, we now have blocked this off, so these guys have to add to 30. We have 8 here, so these 3 digits have to add up to 22. And I think we determined the only way that will work is if this is a 7 and this is a 9, which leaves our 6 left over. Let's make sure our math is correct. 10, 19, 25, 30, it is. Therefore, 8, 7. Okay, I've got to kind of speed this up. I've got a phone call in about 40 minutes. Oh, God, it's already been an hour. Let's continue going. These have to be what? So this is a 1-3 pair by Sudoku, which this is a given 8. Anything looking down on these guys? Doesn't look like it. What about you now, this 20 clue? The 3 has to stop this in one of these two. What do we have already? We've already got 20, so this is the 3 and the 1. I wonder if I made... No, I didn't, because I had to do this logic to make these numbers appear, and then we could get into here. Okay, this is not 3. Okay, we're, again, slowly but surely getting somewhere. What's next on the list? Let's start looking at these guys, because maybe we're going to have some correlation going on between these types of groupings. So we've got 3, 5, and 7. We have 1, 4, and 8. And we have 2, 6, and 9. This can't be 7. Similar reason I did down here, because if that's a 7, the 9 has nowhere to go. This can never be an 8, because then how do we make 9? We don't. These 3 digits are never stopped. Okay, so this is 7, because we have to stop this. This is the 7th column, so therefore, and we're going to 9, so we can only go at most 3 digits. So this is 7. Now, if this has to add to 9, it obviously can't have a 9 on it, and it can't have a 6 on it, because the lowest we can put is the 1 and 3, which is 4, which is 10, so this is 2. These are not 2s. Now, these have to add to 7, so they have to be 3, 4. There we go. This, I think I'm to the point where I don't think the coloring is really helping me. This becomes a 1 just by Sudoku. This can't be a 2. This can't be a 4. Can we look at this guy now? Because we said this 12 needed a 9 to stop it off. We cannot put a 9 here, because there's no way to make these add to 12. Yeah, that's not possible. So this is the 6, this is the 9. That forces 2. This one just is 6 and 9. Good. Now, this is not our 9, so we know one of these two is the 9. And we actually know it's just this one, because we cannot ever get enough purchase here to ever go more than 3 cells with the 6 now being put in here, because the bare minimum these can be is a 5 one, which is already 6. So that's what it is. 7 and 8. This can't be 5. This can't be 8. This is the 3 because of the 7 there. Good. Okay, we have to be to a point, I think, where we can go on our Sudoku run, right? Because I think we've used everything up now in terms of our clues. So let's look Sudoku and get this baby taken care of. One of you is a 1. At least I think we're down to just Sudoku. I hope we are. One of these is a 2. We're getting a lot of X-wings here. I don't necessarily, I mean, again, we've got X-wings. This is 3, 4, and 8. This can't be 4, but we know one of these is a 3. Let's continue on the process here and see if we can get this thing sorted out here. It's not looking like it just yet. Here we go, 6. We just had to get to the right digit. None of these can be 6s. This is a 6. That's all of the 6s. What about 7s? We can do the 7s. None of these can be 7, so this is. That should finish the 7s. It does. What about the 8s and 9s? 8 is done. Oh, maybe it's not done. Sorry, one of these two is an 8. This one isn't. What about the 9? We can do the 9. This one is a 9. Is that all of them? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Yes, okay. So another quick scan just to make sure I didn't miss anything there. I don't think I did. Do we have any clues that are left over? This 12 has been done. The 9 has been done. The 15 has been done. The 6 is done. The 15 is done. The 34 is done. The 10 is done. 6 is done. The 30 is done. Is that accurate? 9, 13, 15. Yeah, okay. I was just making sure the math worked out. The 20 does appear to be done. The 3 stops it, so 5, 7, 8, yes. The 10 is done. The 9 is done. The 26 is done. And the 12, yes. So everything is done clue-wise. So we just got to get through our Sudoku, and that's all we have left over. And I see one spot right here. 3, 4 left in here. This can't be a 3, so 4, 3, 5, 4. This is not 5 anymore. So we get what left over here? 2, which has to go here. This has to be 5. Good. This is just a given digit. Well, we know this because of that 2. This is the 2 and 1, and this is a given 5. The 1 gives us our 3 and our 1. That's going to give us our 4 and our 3. 8, 5, 4. And what's this lonely number? 8. There we go. We solved the puzzle. Solution is correct. That was a bit of work, and I think, 270 solves in 6 days, it's not a ton. I'm sure there's a lot of people who have had to try to think up how to get into this puzzle, and must have taken them some time, like it has me, to do, but really enjoyed that puzzle. I hopefully, now that we've gone through one of these puzzles, if there are any more that are created just yet, probably not, but there might be. We might be able to get into it a little bit quicker, knowing some of the little ins and outs and what some of these things could work with. But definitely a very enjoyable rule set. I'd like to see another one of these and see if we get any smarter on the next one, because that one was a bit of a trog to get into it, just because, again, like I said, not something we'd ever seen before, so we had to formulate ideas about how these things will work. So anyway, really enjoyed the puzzle. Hope you all did as well. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Keep this channel growing. I appreciate it greatly, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks a lot.